moving down, we've now under the finance and performance section and monthly integrated performance report. Dominic.
Yeah, thanks again. I'm assuming people have read this. I'm just going to start with a thanks to Rob Szymanski, head of the integrated delivery team, who with his colleagues has produced, I think, a really first-rate progress to bring together all the performance reporting, and I hope members of the governing body would agree with that. How we've tried to split that down is to make sure that the improvement assessment framework areas, the domains, are clearly articulated, and then following through that, the contractual and quality performance. Jeremy will have his moment in the sun, separate to that about finance, but I'm really happy to take any questions, remembering this is month 3, and I'm delighted when asked if there are further changes that have occurred in month 4 and 5. I can actually verbally update, particularly around improvements in the dementia diagnosis rate, which is still on an inexorable upward trajectory. And that, again, has been one of the really challenging areas for the CCG. I'm really pleased with the concentrated effort that the whole team is playing, that we're really beginning to see traction on it. Probably linking in with what Jeremy will say, given that our financial performance is looking relatively stable and on track, keep in mind and look particularly at the contractual issues around Western, linking it with what we talked about previously about the business plan and the AIC, and how our activity is broadly on track within Western, up on non-electives, but down on electives. That impacts on performance, and we are on it with the referral to treatment times, and potentially then impacting as well on cancer. Referral to treatment times it's been a busy period in the last month or so, which some of our locality directors might wish to comment on, about making sure that we are assuring NHS England and NHS Improvement about the recovery that we need to see being put in place as a CCG to return to 85%, which is still below the NHS constitutional standard of 92%. We are aiming higher in the AIC, but first and foremost we need to reassure the governing body that we have a clear action remedial plan in place that is going to see us hit 85% by March 2019. And again, the discussion and agreement through the AIC with Western has been a concerted, collegiate approach. Vicky, I know you, and I'm picking RTT out specifically because it is, again, one of the most high-profile areas which we need to be seen to be on top of. So Vicky, I know you attended that meeting.
Yeah, so I attended the NHSE meeting last Wednesday, and we had generally sort of, I guess, affirmed the positive feedback that they were assured by the processes that we were taking to get on top of our targets. So Western, we worked, I think it's really important to say that we worked as a system on this, so it was a really good system piece of work. We have clear work streams happening already, A3s around key areas for the IAC, around MSK, urology, cardiology. We've re-energised our referrals committee, which is up and running, and we've also got a review on the 30th of October with Karen Eastman from NHS England to look at getting it right first time and unwanted variations. So I think they were assured by the processes that we were taking alongside the steps that Western have been taking to manage their demand also. But I'm happy to take any further questions around that.
And I'd say when you look at the 4 domains, it links to the work that Amanda's been doing on the business plan, because where we've got clear deficiencies within those or areas of improvement, they are going to be nailed into the business plan objectives, both for this year but also then going forward into next year. And that's where you will get the local attention compared to one size fits all across the SDP. We have very specific local issues which we need to address.
Okay, questions, Joe?
Just a question around the AIC and the referral to treatment targets and how the interplay between those things. I think I just wonder how they're affecting each other. Is the RTT written into the contract, and is there any evidence that the AIC is impacting on our RTT data?
So I think certainly is written into the contract, and I don't know AIC-wise whether I attended my first meeting today with my executive lead hat on, so I might pass to Amanda for that, but from the clinical content, I'm really happy to comment on the alignment and integration of the work streams that we're doing, both to sort of solve the problem really once rather than solving it in one area and it arising in another. Amanda, I don't know if you want to comment more on the AIC contracting.
So when the plan for 1819 was put together and the discussions with Western were had, it was agreed that, and it was in fact in the operating plan, that we needed to achieve the outturn of 1718, which was 85%. So it's agreed that 85% is the de minimis position. However, we did say that through our joint working we would expect to see improvements in that 85%, moving up to the constitutional standard requirements. In the conversations that have been had as a system, we first and foremost assured that we have got security of the 85%, because that's absolutely required. And there are options and variables on how we improve that trajectory. The difficulty being that actually, of course, we're now entering into winter, and that the capacity, the resources, all the same. So what we don't want to do is over-promise and under-deliver. But it is absolutely clear the de minimis is 85% in the contract, with a movement to improvements over the year.
And has there been any slippage in that 85% over time? I suppose that's what I'm asking. Do we have that information?
Yes, we do. So through the clinical ops meeting, you had a really, really good presentation from the planned clinical care lead that went through where there was deterioration in performance, specialty by specialty. They happen to be the specialties of cardiology, MSK, urology, etc. that Vicky referred to. So we're going to improve those trajectories. But the overall target of 85% we understand, and we know where we can have improvements to see that that has equalised that. There are many conversations, and as Vicky alluded to, we had our first Coastal West Sussex Delivery Board, which is looking at the contractual elements of the AIC today, and we haven't had the detailed one, and we explored that further, plus moving to understanding what is basically a patient target list, so seeing the totality of the list and making sure that we're managing that as a collective.
Okay, thank you. Vicky?
Can I just add in, also in response to your question, Jo, there are certain areas that have come up when we've looked at our matrix of GP referrals and practice variation. So it's really important with the work that's going on that it's not just around the RTT, it's also looking at the 5-year forward key areas, such as cancer, for instance, where we've been picked up with the IAF. And it's really important that we align these work streams together, and I think that's what we are working hard to do so that it's done properly in one setting.
Okay, any more questions on the performance report? Right.
The front sheet is about what came to the F&P, and I think it's the governing body who has to assure. So if that could be changed. And the other brief thing is, I think everybody needs to understand that if we fail with the AIC this year meeting our targets, it has the financial impact next year because of renegotiating the contract with the AIC. And that's the message for the clinicians. So the referral data is the critical thing.
Okay, thank you, Ray. Okay, so the recommendation is that we approve the integrated performance reports. Okay, everybody happy with that? Thank you. Moving on to the finance report. Jeremy, it's all yours.
Thank you. In front of you we have the finance report for month 4, which is the report that went to the last Finance and Performance Committee. In summary, we are on plan for the year to date, and we are forecasting to be on plan at the end of the year, which is a £12 million deficit. I want to touch on 4 things really. The first of which is the Commissioner Support Fund and how that plays out over the course of the year. The second is where we are on the unidentified bit. The third is the risks that we still have, and the fourth area is where we are on mitigations. So first of all, the Commissioning Support Fund Available to be earned is 12 million equal to our £12 million deficit. We earn that quarter by quarter, and it's staggered, and it's weighted towards the back end of the year, because most CCGs, as we do, have plans that deliver more in the back end of the year than the front end of the year. It's 1.2 million for quarter one, 3 million for quarter two, 3.6 million for quarter three, and 4.2 for quarter four. We have now earned 1.2 million for quarter one, so we got that after the end of quarter one. What that means is that whereas our plan for month four was for a £4 million deficit, what you see in front of you here is 2.8 million, which has that 1.2 million taken off it. That will continue to be the case. Or if you like, while underlying that, we're still delivering the £12 million deficit. You'll see the actual numbers shown in your report will suddenly drop at the end of each quarter as we earn it. The Commissioner Support Fund, once earned, cannot be taken off you. But you have to earn it. If you fail to earn it in one quarter by not hitting your three trajectory, you can catch up in the following quarter. And you might do that, for example, by your savings plans not delivering in the profile that you originally had. So that's where we are on the Commissioner Support Fund. The fact that we have earned it for quarter one is fantastic. I mean, this is now crystallised. This carrot, if you like, of £12 million is starting to appear. We're starting to get bites out of it as we go along, where I think it's a huge encouragement. Secondly, we originally started off the year with a missing element of QIP of 6.8 million. We had an ambition to stretch that by adding on a further 5.2. I think it's now unlikely we will make any inroads into that. As at month four, that 6.8 has dropped to 6.3, and we have a whole stream of work going on to bite into that even further. And our target would be to eliminate that by the end of the year by identifying recurrent QIPs that would completely eliminate that QIP. And I can say here that it is continuing to fall almost on a week-by-week basis. We continue to make inroads into that missing element of the QIP. Thirdly, the risks. At the back end of the report you have in front of you, it highlights some of the main risks that we have. We are working very hard by basically talking to our partners across the system. We are working very hard to minimise those risks and to crystallise those risks as early as we possibly can. And that is what we are actually doing. So we are actually crystallising those risks, and by and large at levels lower than we were expecting them to be. And then finally, we have the mitigations, and we are working to realise those mitigations and again to maximise the level of those mitigations, and that is what we are actually doing. As time has gone on, our confidence in delivering the year-end position has been increasing month by month, and that continues to be the case. We want to deliver it in the line of our original plan, and what that was for recurrent quick savings because of the impact, as Rafe had said, the impact that has on 1920. We want to continue to work really hard on the quick schemes that we have, but also on the quick schemes with the Trust, so that our run rate in month 12 has dropped to the level when we can deliver 1920 with confidence as well. So the fact that our confidence for delivering this year has increased doesn't take the pressure off at all for delivering all of those quick schemes to make sure that we can deliver 1920 with the same degree of confidence, and then meet our ambition of breaking even under our own resources for 2021.
Okay, thank you, Jeremy. Any more questions for Jeremy? Malcolm.
I'm clearly, having just arrived as the lay member for finance and performance, it's reassuring what I hear, but clearly it will be important that the F&P committee continue to review the sort of mitigation actions, and so that we do deliver for the year. And just reinforcing the comment that whilst we've got an AIC, and that's the case elsewhere, that we've just got to sort of ensure that the activity leading into next year is established. And the fact that we have got no assurance that the support funding will continue into another year, so we're sort of living with that run rate deficit, which going forward into 1920, unless something changes in terms of a policy, we will have, in addition to any other financial pressures that we've got. So it's a good story at the moment, but we can't be complacent because it is still very, very challenging.
Thank you, Malcolm, I agree with that. Alison?
I just remember saying at F&P, and I see that it's still here, that there's no impact on quality and safety, and I think particularly with the issues around QUIP, they might not have been identified yet, but I can't possibly see that no impact is an accurate way to describe that, so I just wondered if that could be reviewed.
We'll review that.
Thank you.
I think as we said at the end of the where there is an impact in the individual QUIP schemes, that needs to be alluded to in this aspect as well.
Yeah, that's fine. That was going to be my comment. If it could be the individual schemes would be noted in there, and then the quality committee would want to see sight of those schemes in terms of the quality impact. So we'll make sure that goes forward.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you everybody. I'm happy to approve that report